Hi there, Standardbred lovers. Nick here from Raising the Standards. I'm embracing and jumping into 2023 with a renewed energy around education and showing up for our beautiful global Standardbred community. I'm starting to get back in front of the camera and the podcasting and just dive into what I hope will be our best Standardbred year ever. And that is the topic of today's discussion. So what you can expect this year is that I will show up on camera, put some videos on our YouTube channel if you're someone who likes to sit and watch videos. I'll then rip the audio from our YouTube channel and put them on our Standardbred podcast. So if you're someone who likes to put your earbuds in and listen, good news, we will be firing the podcast back up. I did have a lot of people send me messages and emails and show up at Equitana in November and say, we want the podcast back. So you asked and here it is. I'm going to get, as I said, a little more consistent with trying to just, I think, get the most out of content. So video and then producing that again as audio content. And I'll also create for each topic a page on our website which will have a little written summary. So it won't be like show notes. I know that some podcasters like to just transcribe everything said in an episode. I'm going to write written summaries. I'm a journalist by trade, so I find that really natural and easy to do. So lots of content hoping to come to you in 2023. I'm going to really aim to get one video / podcast / blog post episode out every week in the new year. So that's my goal, and I'm going to try and really commit myself to that because I love to share experiences and my learning. I've been involved with Standardbred since I was a junior rider, so a very long time now, and we're always learning. I think that's the best part about horsemanship, that you can never know everything. There's always something new to discover, and so I really look forward to showing up a little bit more consistently in the new year and sharing my lessons as I go along. So getting into today's talk, your best Standardbred year ever. I think we're starting to see another real shift in the Standardbred world. As I said, I've been around since 2001 with Standardbreds, and I think every few years there's another big shift in energy and things happening in Standardbreds, and there's never been a better time to be a Standardbred owner. We live in a time of information sharing with the internet, so we can connect with fellow Standardbred lovers and experts to get advice along the way, to get little tips that can really stop us from getting stuck in a rut and keep us tracking forward. So that's a big bonus that you have that I didn't have when I started with Standardbreds. And everything's really easy to access. You can, as we just said, you can put your earbuds in and listen to content. You can consume it via video. You can read it. We also have a variety of online courses here at Raising the Standards, which do use different kinds of formats that you learn in as well. So there's never been a better time to be involved, and I think the Standardbred community on a global level is growing. And that's the thing about Standardbreds compared to other breeds of horses. We have a lot of horses exiting racing, at least here in Australia, but I'm going to assume the rest of the world, because in our online Standardbred club we do have members from the US, all around the UK, some members in Europe and also in New Zealand, and then all across Australia, which it's really, really exciting. I love to connect with people from all around the world and hear how I butcher the English language with my Aussie bogan slang. So you have to excuse me on that one. But yeah, there's more and more people getting involved with Standardbreds today. I think they're a lot more recognized, they're a lot more popular, and I think people are starting to really appreciate all of the great, wonderful, positive traits about this breed. So that's really awesome. In the last part of 2022, I was involved in several public events and projects which really brought together the people in my region who are involved with Standardbreds. I'm very fortunate. I'm in Victoria. I'm about an hour north of Melbourne. In my area, we have several adult riding clubs through HRCAV that are just for Standardbreds or that promote a Standardbred friendly inclusive club. So they are the SRG groups, Standardbred riding groups. So there are a lot of Standardbred friendly adult riding groups around. There's also the Standardbred Pleasure and Performance Horse Association Victoria. They've been around a really long time. They do a lot with volunteer manpower, but they basically coordinate and organize all of the prizes and the judges for shows here, for if you're into Standardbred showing across Victoria, and special high point or special champagne or state championships across a range of disciplines. So if you're wanting to get out and compete against Standardbred people, Then SPAV is the group. And then there's the HIV Hero program, which is Harness Racing Victoria's outplacement program. They have retrainers, they have a direct off the track program, and they're just really getting involved in helping to increase opportunities for standardbreds. As I mentioned earlier, I am a journalist by trade, so I have started freelancing and writing articles for the Hero program. I'm very fortunate. I've started off with a lot of stories about friends of mine, people being around standardbreds for a very long time. And some of those stories are really inspiring. They show you what can be achieved with hard work and what other people who have had success with their standardbreds, what their journey has looked like. With all these standardbred groups, we've also started to really collaborate, bring in this cohesive team where we sort of like, okay, let's look at the resources we have. Let's look at the riders we have. Let's look at the horses we have, the ones that are out doing amazing things and really inspiring and motivating to people who are just getting started. Let's look at what events are coming up where we want to promote standardbreds and have experts there to talk about the breed and really encourage people who may have never thought about it, owning a standardbred before, to get together. So I've been involved in some of those projects. The big one was Equitana. It was just a massive 4 days where we all got together and we pulled our energy, and it was just outstanding. It was one of the best vibes I've ever seen in the standardbred world. It's really left me finishing the year on such a high and super excited about what is to come in 2023. From an education standpoint, I will be showing up, as I said, more regularly on the Raising the Standards channels, creating more information. We have some changes and some exciting updates to some of our online courses, which I'll talk about in a minute. There's a new educational partnership between Hero and Raising the Standards. So now if you are somebody who adopts or purchases a horse through the Hero program, you have an opportunity to sign up for our Retraining the Standardbred Track to Hack main course. That is a step-by-step program that talks about everything you pretty much need to know about standardbreds historically, about the horse you get, and about all the early stages of retraining, what to do, how I do it here, how I did it for many years as a dedicated standardbred retrainer. I rehome dozens of horses into all different pursuits. So that's really like my cheat sheet. That is the culmination, the finished product of many years of learning, and I will still be updating that because, as I said, you never stop learning. And the beauty of online courses as opposed to a book or a DVD is that I can update it at any time, and I do. I'll put new videos in as I have new horses coming in here in the new year. So I will have more horses coming to Raising the Standards. I've got some announcements about what I'm doing there. I am not going to be a retraining, a rehoming program anymore, but I'm going to have standardbreds here training for specific purposes, and whilst they are here, they will be filmed, and all of that information from each horse and the case studies will go into our online courses. Whenever you sign up, you get access to not only the content in there on that day, but everything to come in the future. So again, the beauty of online courses, you're going to get updated content just as part of when you sign up for any of the programs. You stay there, you get ongoing access, and there'll be new stuff added along the way. So that's really exciting. So now that I've started with a bit of a ramble, because I'm just so excited about what's to come, like what has started to really shift and happen in this real collaborative approach to standardbreds in Victoria. And I know it's happening all around Australia. There's, all of the states are really starting to work with their racing bodies to get some more streamlined programs to get horses out of their racing stables and families into retrainers' hands or into knowledgeable hands to then go off and find new homes. So there's going to be a lot of fantastic horses looking for new homes. There's going to be a lot of people involved in standardbreds, a lot of education. You're in the right spot if you want to learn about standardbreds. Community and support. So whether it's between these big groups, associations, clubs and businesses who are all working in different areas related to creating opportunities for standardbreds beyond the track, or whether you are in some of our online programs, particularly our online standardbred club, you will be part of the conversations that are happening every single day about standardbreds. And that's a really positive headspace to be in. The more you talk about your standardbreds and immerse yourself in learning and chatting to, high vibe people, like the people we have in our online standardbred club, we're positive. We love our standardbreds. We've got a great, whether we've got a great relationship with our horse or we're aspiring to that, whether we've had our horse for a week, a month, a year, we're all learning from each other and sharing. So it's just the best time to be involved in standardbreds, and I'm so excited to have you here. But I've finished the year on a high, and I'm ready to kickstart and jump into an exciting new year. There's going to be so much happening in the standardbred space. But today I wanted to talk about the lessons I really learned in 2022 and what I'm taking forward into the new year, and some of, as I said, the lessons that I've learned that I can share with you that will hopefully help you as you approach 2023 with your Standardbred. And to start with, the reason I started with that little, conversation about the collaborative nature is because 100% the biggest thing that helped me in the last 12 to 18 months in particular has been having a support network around me. Now, I've got a long story about, where I came from as a Standardbred retrainer, and but basically, I haven't really ridden consistently in the last 6 to 7 years. I had a pretty hideous pregnancy that damaged a lot of my core muscles in my body. And I had a cesarean, and then I had a baby, and I didn't have a horse to get back into it on, a real rock solid horse that I trusted. I had a lot of offers of green unbroken horses, but that didn't really serve me for where I was at. And I didn't think that it was particularly fair on myself in my postpartum state to be the rider I was when I was riding 4 or 5 horses a day, very, very fit, very strong, didn't have the damage, didn't have the lifestyle change. I wasn't expecting that of myself, but I also think it wouldn't have been fair whilst I was really unfit and just working with a physiotherapist to try and get my body back in tune, to then get on a green horse, even a quiet one, and expect them to be sorting their own balance out and then compensating for me. I probably wasn't going to be riding particularly well. So I didn't get back into riding, and then I had another pregnancy and another baby, same thing, lots more damage done to my body. And then coming out of that, I've been really trying to, when I was ready, I took some time off. I didn't really push myself to get back into it. But when I was ready to get back into riding, I've had such a bad run of luck when it comes to horses. And this is the thing for retrainers: when we take a horse either sight unseen, so we don't go out and view them first, or fresh off the track, we are the first point. And so we are the person doing all of the assessments, physical, mental, where the horse is at. And there's no guarantees that every horse is going to work out. And that's the thing, when you go and buy a Standardbred from a retrainer or from somebody who's been riding them, you can ask the questions. You've got someone who has intimate knowledge of the horse. You can get a vet check. You can do all of the things that retrainers really, we're the first person taking the gamble. And it doesn't always work out, and that's okay. I'm prepared for that. Now I think I'm happy to have a bit of self-preservation as I'm easing back into things. And that's really important as a horse person, whether you're a retrainer or just a hobby rider. Know your limits, know your thresholds, know where your comfort is, and don't be ashamed of that. A lot of people get into Standardbreds having not ridden for a long time for whatever reason. Maybe you've had a family, or maybe you got really busy at work, or maybe you're just getting back into horses as an adult. You haven't ridden for a long time. You rode a lot as a kid or a teenager, and it was a real passion, and now you're here. And you're either getting your first horse being a Standardbred, they make a great choice, or you're getting your first horse for a long time, or your first Standardbred, and you're just learning throughout this process, right? I think it's really important not to compare yourself to however you were back then. Kids and teenagers, they're really, really ballsy, and they tend to you bounce really well when you're young. And maybe some people getting back into it are reluctant to ride the hot-spirited horses they did as a junior, and want something a little more rock solid, which is probably why you've ended up with the Standardbred, because they have such a fantastic reputation for their temperament. But it's okay to say, I couldn't stick what I used to stick then. I need to get back into it. I need to get fit. I need to build my confidence as well. Confidence can really sort of deteriorate over time, I think. And the longer that goes between when you were doing something regularly and when you get back into it, it's okay to feel a little shaky and nervous at first. That self-preservation mechanism that we all have, it's what keeps us safe. So, don't be ashamed if you think I'm not the rider I used to be. I'm not the rider I used to be. I'm getting back into it after 6 to 7 years. I've had very limited time in the saddle. I've done a lot of groundwork and miles with my horses in that time. But, I'm not expecting myself to be able to do the things I did back then. I hope in the future I will be back doing that again. But, baby steps between now and then. I wanted to talk about, so I've had this break, right? And then I've unfortunately had over the last 18 months to 2 years, just a bit of a run of horses who were not suitable for me. As I said, not willing too much of a challenge for me to take on where I'm at now, in trying not to have an ego about how I go about my horsemanship. Also, I've had some unfortunately very unsound horses, and that's a normal part of being the first person to take a horse off the track and to ask their body to do a very different job to what they did on the track. Sometimes you can have some little niggling injuries or conformational problems or strains that weren't an issue when the horse is pulling a cart at speed, but maybe are an issue when you're asking a horse to load bear the weight of a rider and work in a very small arena, and to bend and to turn, or to go up and down trail rides, uneven terrain. I mean, a racetrack's really long and flat. Trail riding, riding around property, not so much. And so that coordination and balance and things, when you start to put the body under different types of pressure, that's where you can start to see some issues arising. It's very normal for retrainers. Part of the job of retrainers is that assessment process, and it's working in conjunction with really good health professionals to get a diagnosis of, is this an issue for the horse that is absolutely workable, we've got to rehab it, this is a program, or am I going to be a little unfair in what I'm asking this horse to do? So again, it's just about knowing your animals and, going through that. But I've had a really bad string of luck, basically. And so I'm only now just starting to get back into the saddle again. I'm also really anal about setting the horse up well, doing weeks and weeks of in-hand and groundwork to set a new horse arriving here in my paddocks up for longevity, for long-term soundness, for understanding the basics, for having good manners, for having a great relationship and trust in me before I'm anywhere near their back. So yeah, that's been a process I've been going through, particularly the last 4 to 5 months with several horses. As I was going through all of that assessment, and then some horses didn't work out, it was really disappointing and heartbreaking. I actually had a couple of horses who passed away in the last 18 months to 2 years as well. Some unexpected. I had one die on Christmas Day, 2021, of a heart attack. Just really unfortunate things that happened that really threatened to break my spirit and to stop me continuing this. It just felt like 2 steps forward, 18 steps back, and a lot of heartbreak. The thing that kept me going was my support network. And the biggest part of that support network is the online Standardbred Club. So ironically, as the leader or the moderator or the coordinator, the organizer of that group, I've actually benefited from it as a member, as just a participant. Being in a group of people who are there for you when it's hard, to say, you know what, that really sucks. I'm so sorry to hear that. Keep going. You've got this. Don't let it beat you. Show up tomorrow. We've got you. We're here for you. We're here to support you. When you're going through those low moments, my goodness, that is the make or break zone, and it's the thing that kept me going personally. And I know that there are several other members in our group who faced significant challenges who all felt exactly the same. It was the coming together, the wrapping the arms around us, support of other members that kept them going. But also having people in that group showing up in our Facebook group, showing videos and photos and happy updates and extremely just wonderful moments of success. We recently had a member called Liz, who she'd lost all of her confidence, and she hadn't been to a horse show in over 40 years. And she did our 10-day Standardbred challenge, joined our online Standardbred club. She showed up, she shared photos, she shared her journey, she really inspired us. And then she went out to her first show, and she credits some support from some of her personal friends and coaches, and also very much being part of a group of people who were there for her in the online Standardbred Club is the reason why she kept going. So I know for myself personally and many of our members, the support network, connecting with like-minded people, connecting with people who are going to answer your questions, to help you to get out of a rut, to share their experiences, to inspire and to motivate you with their own stories and progress. It's a game changer. So I want you to really stop and think about who in your world can support you in your Standardbred journey. In our 10-day Standardbred challenge, it's a $10 online program where you get 10 daily training videos. You don't have to do them every day in a row. You can do them whenever you want, but you get basically for $10, 10 video tutorials, all talking about a different topic related to standardbred retraining, whether it's mindset or groundwork. You do not need to ride your horse to be part of that program, but one of the topics in those 10 days really talks about your support network. So if you're part of that program, go and look at that video. And if you're not, have a think about whether you want something to kickstart 2023. The 10-day Standardbred Challenge is an amazing program, so affordable, and there's so many takeaways. We had such amazing feedback to that. It was a live program in August last year. It's now available to anyone who wants to sign up at any time. raisingthestandards.com.au/Standardbred Challenge. Go and check it out. The idea of really assessing who's in your support network, is that an instructor? Is that friends? You know, whether you have friends in your life who are horsey, because some adults just don't. We get into horses and we don't have our own support networks. We might keep our horse on our own property or not adjust with a lot of horse people, or we might not have people who understand standardbreds in our world. I think connecting with other breed enthusiasts is really important, because sometimes you get a gauge on what behavior you're seeing with your horse. You think, you know, my horse is doing these weird things I can't understand, and then you join a Standardbred club and you talk to other members and you realize, oh my goodness, that's actually really, really common and normal, and this is how I work through that. And as a little side note, at the moment, the online Standardbred club currently has a special offer. Our membership program was a month-by-month casual membership, $29 Australian per month, where you would get access to around 50 tutorials, video tutorials, expert interviews, educational resources in that program, and then access to a private Facebook group where people were showing up every day, providing support, motivation, inspiration, answering questions. It's just an awesome space to be in. That was $30 or $29 Australian per month. So about $350 a year. I'm changing the program to a flat fee. It'll just be $99 to join the online club. You get ongoing access to all that educational content and then ongoing access to a Facebook group. I appreciate we're living in a time where the cost of living is rising and people are really stressed. It's very expensive to own horses and people are having to budget or make sacrifices or decisions. And I didn't want our club to be a decision of, can I afford another month of getting support, or can I just not afford it this month? So rather than doing the month by month, I wanted to pare it back to one upfront flat fee to join the club, which is $99. But we're kicking off this new payment structure. And so if you sign up for the 10th of January 2023, it'll be just $49. I'm giving you $50 off if you jump in and join our club and get that support straight away. It's like less than 3 months in the old program, but you have ongoing access into the future. And trust me, it'll be the best investment you make in your knowledge and in creating a support network for yourself. So raisingthestandards.com.au/Standardbred Club is the page. Jump on that offer. It's amazing. You're going to get so much value out of that. And yeah, I'm really excited to be able to offer that to our Standardbred community and to grow our club base. The idea is that we get more and more people who can afford and access that program from all around the world. So we're just growing our membership numbers and having more and more people to talk to every day in there about our Standardbreds. Getting a support network. So joining an online program or jumping on to, you know, like I just mentioned earlier, here in Victoria locally, we have Standardbred riding clubs, we have a breed association, we have clinics and things run by Harness Racing Victoria's Hero program. We have so many little satellite opportunities for me as a Standardbred owner to put my horse on a float and go out and connect with and spend a day with and learn from other Standardbred owners. So whether you do that online or whether you start looking into and exploring local options, I think it's always really beneficial to surround yourself with a support network, because our Standardbreds are awesome for so many reasons. They're so gentle, they're so intelligent, they're so loyal and willing, they're real people pleasers, but they're also confusing sometimes because they have a range of movement patterns and reactions and a way of, you know, going around an arena or going up and down a trail ride, which can be so different to any other breed of horse. So I think getting help with that and getting support through that process, it's really important. And it was one of my biggest takeaways from 2022, the value of having people around me. For me, it was to pick me up when the times were tough and to keep me moving forward. But for some people, it's about being motivated, inspired, and connecting and sharing and just being, you know, friends, having friends there, or a little positive moment where every evening or whatever time of the day that you scroll social media, you can go into a place and just surround yourself with good energy around your Standardbreds. I think it's really helpful. Another great piece of advice I would give to you coming into a new year, hopefully your best Standardbred year ever, is to set some goals. Goal setting is such a beneficial activity. It's something I do at least once a year, and I take myself through a really systemized process so that I'm not just setting a random big goal on, you know, New Year's resolution, and then I have no idea how I'm going to get there. It's demotivating because for me to go from where I am today to that goal, it just seems unrealistic. I have no idea how I'm going to get there. And then what happens is they become a New Year's resolution that is unfulfilled. You're not motivated to get there. You don't know how you're going to get there, and you don't know what to do when things go wrong. The wheels fall off and you lose, you know, momentum completely. I do have a special video that I've put together that is a goal setting tutorial workshop, and it's related to Standardbred retraining. It talks about how to set goals that are big enough to challenge you but not unrealistic, how to set realistic time frames and expectations around that, how to chunk that big journey to that big goal out into manageable bite-sized steps so that you can keep tracking and measuring your progress. I think measuring progress makes it so much easier and more motivating when you go, oh my goodness, like I've done all these things so far, keep going. I just have to do the next step and the next step, you know, to go from here one level to the next step is much easier than trying to go from the very beginning to the very end with no plan in the middle. So goal setting is really important. As I said, I've got a video tutorial that is now available to watch as part of the online Standardbred Club content. And I will also be adding it to our 10-day Standardbred Challenge content and our Retraining Standardbred Track to Hack program. So if you're a member of any of those programs, please go in. I recommend that you do that at the start of the year. It will really help to set you up with a good action plan for going into the new year. Otherwise, if you don't want to enroll in those programs, you're not in them, you know, look around the internet. There's lots of great resources in setting goals, but I think we all tend to set resolutions. But what I would suggest is to set actionable goals, smart goals, goals with a plan behind them so that you don't just lose track of where you thought you would go, or make a big statement about a goal you want to achieve, but then actually not knowing how to get there and not doing anything to get there in the end. So yeah, goal setting would be my next suggestion for setting yourself up to have your best Standardbred year ever. Finally, and sort of connected to something I just said, I think keeping yourself on a positive mindset is really helpful. And it can be really hard today. We live in a world of social media where people share the shiny moments, the blue ribbons, the smiling photos, or the short, 3-second video clip of the horse cantering perfectly, or whatever it is that's aspirational, which we don't know what the journey looked like to get to that blue ribbon, to get to that special moment, to get to that, wow, I wish I was doing that sort of image or video. And that's the problem, because I can tell you now, secret blown, there is no one that I know in the Standardbred world who is succeeding who hasn't put a lot of hard work and time into their horse. And they would say that journey has been, a 5 to 10 year plan to get somewhere with their horse. And they've enjoyed that process. It's not like, oh, it's 5 years of hard work. It's 5 years of that focused training, knowing where you want to get to, and patiently going through the process, the retraining journey with their horses, with an idea where they want to get to in the end, and that real dedication and commitment to the process and to the relationship with their horses. But there's certainly been ugly moments. There've been challenges and setbacks. There've been frustrations. Everybody goes through it, and very few people who are doing the shiny moments really focus on. And I think it's a mindset thing. You don't want to dwell on the negatives too much, but we're not seeing the ugly at the start. We're not seeing that process. We're seeing the final product, and we're seeing a lot of final products flashing in front of us on social media. And when you are sitting at the start or in a challenge and you're not sure how to get through things, and you're feeling so overwhelmed and frustrated and defeated, seeing all the happy moments just makes you feel really isolated, and it skews your perception. Oh, this is happening to me. I'm never going to get there. Look at what everyone else is doing. So I think focusing on what you can't do or focusing on what everybody else is doing on social media can be really dangerous. It can put you in this spiraling mentality of everything's going wrong and I'm never going to get there. Yep. Rather than focusing on what you can't do or what you hope to be able to do one day, you should flip your thinking a little bit onto what are all the things I can do now. And I touched on it before with goal setting, like looking at all the skills that you can do today that you couldn't do a week ago or a month ago or a year ago, depending on how long you've owned your Standardbred. And these little goals, like there are so many little tiny moments that we just gloss over every single day as horse people. And I think if you're not tuned into the idea of stopping and giving yourself a fist pump and really celebrating the little wins, then you're missing a lot of the joy that comes with it. And what it is it's a constant pushing for the next thing. Like, I've got that now, that's great, now next thing. If you take a moment to go, oh my goodness, my Standardbred just did 2 full laps of the arena without falling into pace, amazing. Give them a pat, sit there for a minute, breathe it in, feel really proud. For me, sometimes when I have a really awesome little training moment that something that somebody else wouldn't even think is a big deal, I get a little teary. I get like, good boy. I really try and get into that moment because it fills your tank up a little bit. It makes you happy. And that's the point of having horses, feeling those happy moments. Everyone will have little wins to focus on. If you've only had your horse for 2 weeks, think about, okay, well, when you first brought your horse home and you let them go in the paddock, maybe when you went out to catch them, they just didn't want to know you. They didn't barely put their head up. They walked away. They just looked disinterested. They sort of did the when they came out with you, or maybe they felt really nervous and tense and they didn't trust you and you were like really on edge and thinking, oh my goodness. And, maybe today after a couple of weeks, it's a bit better. Maybe your horse comes and greets you at the gate. Maybe they look up and prick their ears and put their ears forward and wait for you. And maybe when they come out, they're a bit more relaxed. They're a bit more settled. You can start to see that relationship building. It's not always about training wins that we should focus on. We should also focus on relationship bonding and connection building wins. Just hanging out with our horse and feeling incredibly happy moments. If you're somebody who, I've got a pretty dodgy memory, like I can watch videos of myself doing things a few years ago and I wouldn't remember them otherwise, or I can't really get myself into that headspace again. Sometimes, so for me, what I like to do is tangibly, when I have one of those moments, I like to write it down. I've got my Standardbred journals. I don't have one handy. They're all in my bookshelf, but I have a Standardbred journal and I write, you can buy one of those if you want in our online Standardbred shop, raisingthestandards.com.au/shop. They're on sale at the moment because I'm just trying to clear my cupboard space. But I get my folder out and I write down the date and I write down, the horse I'm riding or I'm working with on the ground or I've just gotten. I write their name down and I write what was the little moment that was exciting and happy, and why was that such a big deal, and what does that lend itself to? Like, does it open up possibilities now for the next step in our training together or our relationship together? I jot things down to remember them. And what that does is it creates a ledger of all these happy moments, right? So then if I am get a bit stuck in a rut because, horses have minds of their own. I've had some soundness issues. I had some abscesses across winter. It meant that my horses were a little bit lame for a while, couldn't work them. Whatever it is, there are going to be times where you can't be doing the things you want to do or things aren't tracking forward, right? Those are the moments I pull my ledger out and I'm like, oh my goodness, I forgot about all these happy moments. Or if I get a bit of that comparison paralysis where I feel like I'm not where I thought I would be, or everybody else is doing these great things and I'm still doing this, or I'm not quite there yet, or I'm still struggling with this. I can go back to that ledger and go, yeah, okay, righto, can't do that yet, but I can do this, and this. And once upon a time, I didn't think I could do those things. And now I can do those things and I've had all these happy moments and I need to focus on them. I need to focus on what I can do, what I have done, not so much just worrying about what I can't do yet and what's coming tomorrow. So those are probably the 3 main key points, as well as a little like, hey, welcome to the new year. I'm hoping to get a little bit more focused in what I'm doing with these videos so they don't rage out for all of them. But, I wanted to say g'day and stop in and let you know what was planned for this year and what's been happening. But for this topic on your best Standardbred year ever, the 3 main points are to set yourself up with a good support network. Surround your world with people who love Standardbreds, who can share advice with you, who can pick you up on the low days, who can inspire you and motivate you. Whether you do that through creating your own network locally, whether you do that via a program like our online Standardbred Club, there are options out there, and it's the best time to be involved in Standardbreds because we do have informations and connections at our fingertips. Second piece of advice, set some smart, actionable goals. Do them now, do them at the start of the year. It will really kick you off into a process that will set out the next 12 months for you. And you might want to redo this. Like, if you really hit a wall and things change, you might need to redo your goal setting, or you might hit your goals and then be ready to set new ones. Or you might think that you want to be a show jumper and then decide through training that you want to do endurance riding, go in a completely different direction. Yeah. Set new goals as you need to. I do this activity pretty routinely, not to the scale necessarily in the video, but I've got goal setting down to a little bit of a fine art now, and that's something that's been so beneficial to me. So take some time to set some goals, and then don't get bogged down the can't do's. Get focused on the can do's, have done's, and what I'm looking forward to working towards in the future with a realistic perspective, time frames, and a commitment to enjoying the journey as I go along, or as you go along. So those are my 3 pieces of advice for you to get started for your best, or on track for your best Standardbred year ever. So excited to be here and look forward to sharing more little videos and podcast episodes with you, hopefully each week. Going to try and commit myself in 2023. And for those of you who are in our online Standardbred Club, members of our online courses, I look forward to chatting to you via email or in our private Facebook groups, getting to know you and to really just keeping that energy up around our Standardbred retraining. Okay guys, bye.